Okay, this is XCT again, still in the Panhandle of Oklahoma at Texhoma, Oklahoma. Texhoma, Texas, just a few yards away. Less than a half mile, I guess.
Across the street.
Across the street. I thought maybe we were really close to Texas. I'm talking to Mary Lee Cook, and you were a youngster during World War II, if I remember correctly.
You know I was.
I know you were. And how did you happen to get involved with a dedication of an airplane?
Well, but this year they decided to sell war bonds, which were like, we called them Series E's, is what they were. And whatever 4-H member got credit for selling the most bonds, why, would get to dedicate this bomber and name it Texas County.
And this bomber was being built in Oklahoma, maybe, or Texas?
I think it was built, I don't know, I believe it was built in Wichita.
Was it a B-29?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was built in Wichita. My dad and a lot of my relatives helped build that thing.
But I got to dedicate it Texas County because I had the credit for selling the most bonds.
As I recall, you kind of had a way of figuring things out. How did you happen to be the most successful salesman of bonds? In addition to those you sold yourself, what else happened?
Well, I went to the City National Bank. I knew Mr. Gear, and I asked him if I could get credit for the bonds that wasn't given to somebody else in 4-H, and he said sure, he'd give me the credit for it.
Right.
And that helped me get to the top.
I'll bet it did. And he recognized a smart girl when he saw one.
Well, we had to do something.
So how did you get to the big city to do this dedication?
They took us in cars.
So the whole 4-H club went?
No, just part of us got to go. My sister Dolores went with me.
Any of your family get to go along?
No, they stayed home.
They stayed home. So that plane was sitting there
at the fairgrounds. Yes.
And the press was there, no doubt?
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, I'm sure they were. And was the name on the plane?
No, because see, the whole state did it. And different counties had their own county name on them. So I don't remember for sure the whole state, but we had sold enough bonds to buy one or two, I don't remember for sure how many.
What was it that Joe said about his family and bonds?
Well, his dad at one time had enough money he could have bought some land, but instead, he took that money and they bought war bonds. Because we all bought war bonds if we had any extra money to help the men in war.
And as some of you that have followed my videos know, I'm a little critical about the fact that we don't seem as a nation to be doing anything other than standing by and giving verbal support to the current war. And here in World War II, if you had any extra money, you bought bonds. They pushed and pushed and needed those bonds.
To pay for the war.
To pay for the war. Funny idea, pay for a war as you go. Doesn't seem to be the way we do it now, but that's the way we tried to do it then. And of course, huge wars. One in the Pacific and one in Europe. We didn't pay for all of it, but a lot of bonds were bought.
Yes, they sure were.
Did you guys have some bonds, and do you remember when you cashed them out?
No, we had bonds, but I don't remember when we cashed them out. But you know what? I still buy my great-grandkids a $100 bond every Christmas.
That's a Christmas gift that'll keep on giving.
I hope so.
Well, it will, because that bond earns money, and it'll be worth a lot more when they need it for college or whatever occasion in their life.
For college is why we were doing it.
You're doing it specifically to help them with college.
Yes.
That's great. Well, I know my wife's mother left us a bunch of bonds, war bonds that were bought back there during World War II, and when Donna cashed them in, it was amazing to us how much value was involved. I sometimes think this war would be over pretty quick if everybody was feeling it enough that they were buying bonds and if their kids were being drafted to go take part in the war. Did that plane look pretty big to you?
Very big.
I know my dad was so impressed. He said there's a tunnel inside of that plane that you crawl through to get to other parts of it when he was helping build it. And to him it was a giant plane, and of course it was big. Compared to some of these huge planes of today, not so big. But at that time, the B-29 was
big.
Probably the bomber plane that had the most to do with ending the war. And I'm not talking about just the fact that it was the one used to drop I believe it was the B-29 that dropped the bombs that ended the war with Japan. Well, Mary, thank you for helping get this on record, and I know our kids are going to be interested in it, and I have a feeling some of yours might look this up.
They might someday.
Yes, they just might. Kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and if it's true, I can't imagine that the internet really can just keep taking equipment or stories and so on, and that they'll always be there. But it might be that our great-great-great-great-great-grandkids might be looking back. Be a little better record than we've been able to find on some of our ancestors.
That's right.